Welcome to the Ventura Rock Spot. I'm Pam Baumgartner, and I'm going to be hosting the show this time around. Ventura Rock Spot is a monthly program where we highlight artists in and around the 805, as well as the artists who come to the 805 to play. I highly recommend visiting the website itself. It is at VenturaRockSpot.com, where we have over 30 videos on there for you to view from artists around town. You can also find out if you'd like to be a featured artist, how to be a featured artist on the show. And if you'd like to stay in the know about what's happening here in town, then you are invited to go to VenturaRocks.com, which is a little website I started about 12, 13 years ago now. And I did it to help promote live music, not only for the bands, but for us music fans, because we want to know where to go to see the music. And you can go right there and you find out everything that's going on. So let's go ahead and get to it. I'd like to introduce to you a good friend I've come to know and love. He and his wife, Mary Kay, they had me over several times. We've had wine, vegan food, we talk music, and you probably know him from the Dive Bar Messiahs, but please welcome to the show. This is Steve Kramer. Steve?
Hi, Pam. How's it going?
It's going good. So we have had several evenings where we have just sat down and talked about the music scene, correct?
Absolutely.
And I have to say thank you for representing.
Absolutely. How can I not? How can I not? I sometimes sleep in this shirt. I'm not going to lie.
That's okay. I have many band T-shirts that I sleep in as well, so I understand.
There's a joke there somewhere, but I'm going to let it go.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
There's going to be many zingers coming. I know it.
Sure.
So people know you from the Dive Bar Messiahs, which is a classic rock band here in town. And because, we have to own the rights to music to play it on the show, we're not going to do any covers. So we're going to be doing your original music, which a lot of people don't know you have in your back pocket, all these great songs, right?
Well, I appreciate that. It's true. I think in Ventura, I'm largely known as a dancing monkey, a guy that plays cover songs. The cover songs that I love to play, by the way. Mm-hmm. But I spent the first 20, 25 years of my career as an original artist and have written and recorded over 350 songs and publishing deal and all that stuff. And yes, I have plenty of original music. Okay,
and I have two of your CDs. I have one that is Secret Squirrel. You gave this one to me. Yes. And I also have Mockingbird.
Yes.
And I play both of these on my radio show out of Caps Media, KPPQ. It's the Pam Baumgartner Music Hour. We come up with a better name.
It's a perfect name, and it's always a thrill to hear yourself on the radio, by the way. That thrill never goes away. Thank you for the effort. I know it takes a lot to do, especially when people slip one of the 7 words you can't say on the radio on the record and don't warn you in advance.
Yeah, well, who did that?
I did that.
Yeah, you did.
It wasn't
the very first time, too.
Yes, well, we're going to get it out of the way.
Not only was it the first time I played you, it was my first radio show with the program director in the studio with me.
And was it live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start. But to be honest, I mean, it was so brand new and the radio station was so brand new. We probably had you, my father, and me listening, right? With my headphones.
Probably so.
But we've grown, so. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to have you play a song because I want you to play a number of songs and time is rolling.
Sure.
And so do you know what's the first song you want to play for us? And this is original music.
I'm going to play a song called Bound for Glory.
What's the backstory?
The backstory is it's an anti-religion song. That's the backstory. It does use Dylan's Mr. Jones, which comes up frequently in pop music. I think it was Counting Crows. Also referenced Mr. Jones in a song, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And I'm sure others have too. So have I. So if you're good for me to go, I'm going to go.
Go.
This is a song called Bound for Glory. Check out Jesus in the front row. There for all the world to see. Preach about truth and love and brotherhood. Save the mortal souls of you and me. Lose that peeking in the window. I bet you think that you're real involved, because you came to your last confession. Do you really think that you've been absolved? Mr. Jones, you're bound for glory. Will you sing the song, will you tell the story? Have you been forgiven, or would you lie all alone? Mr. Jones, you're bound for glory. When you're thumping on the Bible, remember all the things you've lost. Drink the blood of your fallen idol. Don't forget to wear your silver cross. Check out Jesus in the front row. There for all the world to see. He teaches about truth and love and brotherhood. Save the mortal souls of you and me, when you said he would. Mr. Jones, you're bound for glory. When you sing the song, you tell the story. Have you been forgiven, or will you die all alone? Mr. Jones, you're bound for glory. Mr. Jones, you're bound for glory. Mr. Jones, you're bound for glory.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. All right, you're a young man, you're a young boy when you first start the music scene, right?
Well, I mean, I started playing in 1968 when I was 6, joined a band in junior high when I was 12. The guys were all a couple years older than I was. And then through a fluke of circumstance involving a guy named John Woodhead, who's a kind of a well-known guitar player in certain circles and played in a band called Ace, was not an original member of Ace. Remember Ace? How long? He played in that band. He hung out at a local music store that I hung out in. We don't have to pay for that, right? It was 2 notes.
No.
I'm like, wait a minute.
You're good, you're good.
So I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he had heard of a couple of guys that were auditioning, young boys that looked a certain way, to put a band together. And the guys were Kenny Kerner, who's gone now, but he's a famous gold and platinum producer. You can look him up. He had many hit records, including Brother Louie by the Stories, produced the first 2 or 3 Kiss records, Steve Marriott and the All-Stars, a bunch of hit records, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and a guy named Con Merton, who turned out to be the general manager of one of the most famous recording studios in the world, Cherokee Recording Studios on Fairfax down in Hollywood. My mom gave me a ride down to the interview, to the audition. I auditioned. The other 4 guys had already been picked. They were all 7 years older than I was. I had not quite turned 15 yet. It was 2 weeks away from turning 15. I got the call back, and they hired me.
Wow.
I'm compressing it. That band went on to do a number of things except be known by anybody. We had a singles deal with Warner Curve Records. So, the actual Warner imprint. The single was produced by a huge producer called Michael Lloyd. Just do your research. He was enormous. And we got signed to Aucoin Management. Bill Aucoin, who was the largest manager on the face of the earth, probably next to Irving Azoff at the time. He had Kiss, Billy Idol, a band called Stars, Toby Bow. And we wound up being the opening act on the Sean Cassidy tour, which sounds kind of funny, but it was the second highest grossing tour of the nation.
He was hot.
Absolutely. I started that tour at 15, turned 16 on the road. We were playing 15 to 20,000 seats a night for a year, and it ended at 4 nights at the Greek Theater here in Los Angeles.
Wow.
The band wound up being the most photographed band in the world that year. I have a stack of teen mags this high from all over the world.
And this was Virgin.
Virgin was the name of the band. And there's a few diehard Kiss fans out there that know the band exists and know that the tapes are out there, but nobody's ever heard them. And, you know, the band, that was, I don't know, 40 years ago, 35 years ago? I can't do the math that quickly. As a musician, I'm only required to count to 4.
All right, I understand that.
Yeah. So the Virgin thing happened, and I had a lot of publicity from that. And so I started a band called the Pennies in 1980. And the Pennies rode that publicity wave, and, you know, Tiger Beat and Teen Beat and all those mags. And through a series of close calls, up until I was about 30, 35, I kept trying to make it. You know, always getting the great gigs at the great clubs, playing Saturday night at midnight, you know, to packed houses all up and down Sunset Strip and downtown LA and all that stuff, and Santa Monica. You know, survived as a musician for a long time until I met my wife, Mary Kay, and decided it was probably time to get a real job and start playing covers so I could make some dough. But it's been a long, long road. You know, I've done everything you can do in the music industry except have a hit record and get famous.
All right, Kramer, we're ready for another song. What are you going to play for us this time around?
I'm going to play a song off of the Secret Squirrel record called Sweet Dreams, Baby, Good Night. A little bit of background. As it turns out, I was, my partner Doug Sloan and I were subconsciously writing a musical. And so there's probably 20, 25 songs from the Secret Squirrel era. And the script has actually been begun by a writer we know, a playwright we know called Bill Lewis. And it's a story about this girl, Louise, who's a pop star that basically thinks she's God and might be. A lot of these songs are kind of dark. I'm cheating because I haven't played this song in a really long time, so I have lyrics and chords over here. But I like to write songs that are kind of poppy, obviously, but have kind of a dark theme about them. And this one fits the bill. The chorus goes, just press the cold steel up to your lips, girl. Close your eyes. Sweet dreams, baby. Good night. So,
but it's poppy.
Right, but it's poppy. Well, you'll see. It goes like this. When it's cold out and you can't hold out, when it feels like there's nobody anywhere to take your side, just press the cold steel up to your lips, girl. Close your eyes, sweet dreams, baby, good night. When your hope fails and darkness prevails, when it seems like the good guys and bad guys are all just the same, just press the cold steel up to your lips, girl. Close your eyes, sweet dreams, baby, good night. Good night, sleep tight. It'll all be better come the dawn. Starlight, starlight. Just a little twitch of your finger and you're gone. When you're losing and you're confusing, cold reality with all the dreams that exist in your mind, just press the cold steel up to your lips, girl. Close your eyes, sweet dreams, baby, good night. Good night, sleep tight. It'll all be better come the dawn. Starlight, stop right. Just a little twitch of your finger and you're gone. When you're losing and you're confusing cold reality with those dreams that exist in your mind. Just press the cold steel up to your lips, girl. Close your eyes, sweet dreams, baby, good night. Close your eyes, sweet dreams, baby, good night. Close your eyes, sweet dreams, baby, good night.
It doesn't sound dark.
You know, there's a very famous songwriter called Shelley Peiken. Look her up because her track record is insane. And she was at a songwriters fest that I was playing out in Pine Mountain Club. And she was in the audience, and she came up to me the next day and she said, "Oh, you played this song last night." And I said, "Oh, you were out there." And she said, "Yeah, you played this song about something about the cold steel." And I said, I'm flattered that you remembered the song." And she said, "What was the cold steel? Was it the strings of the guitar?" And I go, "No, it was a gun barrel." And she did not like that answer. That was the end of my association with Shelley Peiken. In my head, we were writing songs together that Christina Aguilera was going to sing, and just tumbleweeds, but that was it. It was over. What can I say?
Well, what are you going to do?
Just keep writing, you know.
All right. Well, let's go back. Let's go back towards the 70s and 80s and about songwriting. And because, you know, you can always, kids pick up a guitar and they learn how to play. But I mean, you have sincere, like you have deep talent. Like you don't just play chords and you don't just play, you know, like fills or what. I mean, you definitely have the talent. How did that evolve for you? Was it just being around other people or just playing and, you know, all the time? How does that evolve for you?
You know, first of all, it's very flattering, very humbling, and I appreciate it. And it's a really strange thing if you think about any artists at all, painters, musicians, that we rely totally on the adulation and approval of complete strangers who very likely have no idea how we do what we're doing. And so that's sort of a sickness, you know? There's an art and there's a craft involved, right? So the craft of writing formulaic pop songs is easy to learn. Just listen to 30 of your favorite pop songs and notice that they're all the same when it comes to how they're structured and where the solo goes and where the bridge goes, and the bridge is 8 bars long. And I had the tremendous advantage of getting turned on to the Beatles as a young kid, and that changed my life entirely. I mean, the gum chewing, the glasses, the voice, these are all affectation. I figured as long as I was emulating what I thought was the best band in the world from a songwriting perspective and a sound perspective, I was going to be in pretty good shape. Yes, I surrounded myself with guys that were older than I was and much better than I was as guitar players. I was a decent singer as a young kid and a decent guitar player as a young kid. I believe that a lot of that is innate, or I would use the term God-given or divinely inspired. It's just in your genes or it's not. I don't mean, you know, I mean genetically, it's in your genes or it's not. And I can't explain it. It's to me, it's magical. As a kid, my dad had a guitar laying around and he didn't play. I think my dad got the guitar because he thought it would look cool at the beach and it would get him girls. And knowing my dad, he was probably right. But they bought me a pitch pipe and I could tune it and I could pick out melodies by ear. And then eventually, you know, I got a chord book and I started to play. It's the one thing the only thing I've done more than play guitar is breathe. I mean, seriously, I've been playing almost forever. Most of I'm 59 years old. I started when I was 6. 53 years of guitar playing, for better or for worse.
Are you constantly writing songs in your mind, or are you always working on something?
You know, I usually go in spurts. You know, when the Secret Squirrel record happened, I started in LA. Mary Kay and I moved to Paris for a couple of years, and my partner stayed here, and that was a project. So he would send me these amazing tracks. The tracks are almost exactly as you hear them. I'm playing very little on that album. A little piano, a little acoustic guitar, a couple of solos. And I sang all the parts myself. But that was continuous. He'd send me these tracks, and it was almost like all I had to do was sort of clear stuff away orally and the songs were there. They wrote themselves. It was fascinating. I wrote a song, the main song, Geez Louise. I woke up with that in my head. How does that happen?
Right.
There's no answer for any of that. So yeah, I mean, I'm working on some songs for another musical that a friend of mine wrote. I am kind of always writing in my head, and I play all the time. But you know, I could come in here to the studio tonight at midnight, put up a drum beat, and write a song. I mean, that's sort of the craft part of it.
Right.
You know, you start playing with consonants and vowels, and you mumble a bunch of stuff, or you hear a line on a commercial or whatever it is, and it's a song. You know, they're not always great, but because they're formulaic, they always meet a certain standard.
Right. Okay, well, we are beginning to run out of time soon. I want you to play another song. So what are you going to play for us this time?
Maybe I'll play Geez Louise, since we just talked about it. This is Geez Louise. I hope. Geez Louise, look what's become of you. Don't you think you've gone a bit too far? Geez Louise, when will you learn what matters more is what you're not than what you are? When you were young, they knew you weren't like all the rest. You'd push your dolls aside and tear up your new dress. The other children on your block were all afraid, not making heads or tails of anything you said. The cries of creep, here comes the freak, she's just insane. The things they said to you got stuck inside your brain. And when you gave in to the voices in your head, you took the blade and cut yourself until you bled. Geez Louise, when will you learn what matters more is what you're not than what you are? You're always starting fights with mannequins at Lafayette, and then you claim it wasn't you never wanted it. I've told you once, I've told you half a million times, the mannequins are always in the right. Geez Louise, look what's become of you. Don't you think you've gone a bit too far? Geez Louise, when will you learn what matters more is what you're not than what you are? So many years passed, but nothing's really changed. If I can see you're still deranged. Sorry, you walk the streets and talk to people who aren't there. Sleep in the metro and keep money in your hair. Geez Louise, look what's become of you. Don't you think you've gone a bit too far? Geez Louise, when will you learn what matters more is what you're not than what you are? What matters more is what you're not than what you are. What matters more is what you're not than what you are.
Very nice.
Live with mistakes.
Very, very nice. Okay, so I know that you play, and people can go to VenturaRocks.com and find out where Die Buyer Messiahs are playing, and they can go there to find out where you're playing as a solo artist, where you play cover tunes. But when are we going to get you out doing original material?
You know, it's interesting for me because I could play in a 3-hour set or one of those outdoor Grapes and Hops gigs. I could do the first set all original, the second set all original. I'm just not sure anybody's going to stick around.
Okay, but you don't have to do all originals. You can slip in one every 3 songs or so, maybe 4 songs, then get people used to them. Because once they get used to them, they're going to be asking for them.
You know, it's a kind and humbling thought. I was talking to Sean Jones, a talented guy, great guitar player, great singer. Everybody knows Sean around here. And he said to me, why don't you play your originals? And I said, you know what I do. I'm a dancing monkey. People dance. They call and response. It's like a little concert. People love it. They're having a great time. I don't think anybody's going to stick around. And he says, if you don't play them, who's going to play them? Right. Oh, damn. That's kind of a good point. So up in Pine Mountain Club, it is an excellent point. When I was up in Pine Mountain Club, I did all original shows, a couple of the coffee bar up there, base camp. And yeah, it went over well. That was a listening room environment. You know what I mean? Right. And so it's like the Troubadour. It's a listening room.
Right. But I mean, I'm just putting it out there that when you do the solo music and you're sitting there and you're having your conversations with the people because you're so engaging, you know, just slip in one or two. That's all I'm saying. You got to start somewhere. And I'm encouraging you to do that.
I'm going to start that at the next show. I think I'm there in a couple of weeks on a Saturday. Check VenturaRocks.com. That's what I always do. and I'm going to do that. I'll play a few originals at the next outdoor gig.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So like I said, you can go to VenturaRocks.com to find out where Die by Messiahs are playing and where he's playing. But where do people go to find out elsewhere? Wait, I mean, do you have your own website or is it just social media?
Do not go to diebarmessiahs.com. That site has been hijacked. You do not want to see what's there now. It almost got me banned from Instagram just from having it up there. I'm like, why are you stopping everything I'm trying to put up here? It's a Facebook page. Just look up Dive Bar Messiahs or Dive Bar Steve. That's what everybody calls me. And I always list the shows. I always send Pam the shows. You're kind enough to always list the shows on VenturaRocks.com.
Absolutely.
And Facebook is really the easiest way. It's odd for a 59-year-old man to say, hey, are you on Facebook? But it's working right now.
Excellent. All right. And we are out of time. So anything else you'd like to add?
Just that this was great. I was humbled to be asked, and it's a pleasure to be here, Pam. You know I love you like a sister, and that goes double for Mary Kay. And can't wait to see you in person again. Thanks so much. And thanks to Michelle, the producer, who did an excellent job. Michelle Hoover, named after a vacuum. What was that a nickname? Wait, was that a nickname of hers in the 80s? She's not even here to defend herself. It's terrible. There she is.
You're going to be in trouble. All right. That's going to wrap up another edition of the Ventura Rock Spot. On behalf of Steve Kramer, Michelle Hoover, and GWCProductions, OurVenturaTV, and VenturaRocks.com. I'm Pam Baumgartner. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.